Everyone said he was crazy. No one in their right mind would marry someone without even seeing their face, especially if that someone was an alien. But Aaron just smiled, signed the contract, and said, "I've got nothing to lose." He was a quiet man, not too rich, not too poor, just someone who lived in the middle. Earth had joined the Galactic Alliance 5 years ago. Trade was flowing, technology was growing, and now? Marriages were allowed between humans and aliens. Not forced, but encouraged, especially if it helped bring peace between worlds. Aaron was offered a deal. A high-level alien diplomat visited Earth and said, "We seek human volunteers for cultural bonding." In simple words, it meant marriage. "Your future wife is from our noble line." The alien official added, "But there is one condition." Aaron raised an eyebrow. What kind of condition? "You cannot meet her, see her face, or speak to her until the wedding night." The alien replied, "If you break this rule, the contract will be canceled, and our alliance may be weakened." Aaron didn't ask why. He didn't care if she was beautiful, ugly, short, or tall. He just wanted something new. Something that made him feel alive again. His old life was boring, filled with routine. Maybe this would be the spark he needed. So he signed the contract, no questions, no hesitation. The alien diplomat nodded and left, saying the wedding would happen in 30 Earth's days. When the news spread, his friends laughed. "You're marrying a mystery box." One joked, "What? If she's got 3 eyes and 6 legs?" Another teased. But Aaron didn't argue. He simply said, "She said yes before knowing me, too." The days passed quickly. Aaron was given lessons about alien customs, their food, and basic phrases. In her language, he tried to imagine her. Was she shy? Was she cold? Did she laugh like humans? His heart didn't beat faster at the thought of her looks, but at the idea of something unknown. A future he couldn't predict. And for once, that didn't scare him. It excited him on the wedding day. He wore a special dark suit provided by the Galactic Union. A shuttle picked him up and took him to an alien space station orbiting Saturn. The wedding hall was unlike anything he had ever seen. Floating lights danced in the air, music played from invisible instruments. Aliens of different races stood watching, tall ones with crystal skin, short ones with glowing eyes. But he didn't look around for long. He kept his eyes down, as instructed, until he reached the ceremonial platform. There, across from him, stood his bride. She was covered from head to toe in a long silver robe, her face hidden behind a glowing veil. Her hands, though they were soft and slender, slightly longer than a human's, with blue-tinted nails. When she placed her hand in his, something sparked in his chest. Not lightning, not magic, but a kind of peace he hadn't felt in years. The ceremony was short, with words spoken in both languages. He said, "I accept." And she replied softly in her alien tongue. He didn't understand it yet, but the translator Chip whispered, "And I accept you." Cheers rose around them, but Aaron barely heard them. His heart was too loud. He glanced at her once, just once, but even then, only at her hands, her posture, her silence. Something about her calm presence made him feel safe. Later that night, he was taken to their shared quarters. The door closed behind him with a soft hum. The room was dimly lit, and the walls glowed with a soft pink hue. He stood there, alone, waiting, his hands shaking a little, not out of fear but because the moment had finally come. He heard her footsteps before he saw her. They were light, graceful, almost like a dance. Then a voice spoke from the shadows, soft and clear. "Are you afraid of me, husband?" Aaron froze. Not because of fear, but because her voice didn't sound alien at all. It sounded gentle, curious, and strangely familiar. He smiled to himself, not knowing what to say, so he simply answered, "No. Just nervous." She chuckled. "The sound like soft chimes." "Me too," she whispered. And in that moment, even though he hadn't seen her face yet, He knew he had made the right choice. Some would call him foolish, but standing there, with his alien bride only a few steps away, Aaron felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. He didn't regret the contract. Not for 1 second. The lights were low when she stepped into the room. He had been standing there for what felt like hours, listening to every sound. Every hum of the alien station, the soft hiss of the door opening made his breath catch. And then he heard it, her footsteps. Light, slow, but sure. No longer just a voice in his imagination. No longer a future wrapped in mystery. She was real. And she was coming closer with each step. Aaron didn't turn around immediately. He kept his back to her, not out of fear, but out of respect. He remembered the lessons from the marriage orientation. Let the alien bride reveal herself when she is ready. Still, his heart pounded so loud he was sure she could hear it. Then she spoke again, her voice even softer than before. "You don't have to look away now," she said, almost like a secret. He turned slowly, unsure what to expect. Unsure what kind of face he would see. Would she have scales, tusks, or glowing red eyes like the rumors said? Would she be horrifying or worse, disappointed in him? But when he finally saw her, he forgot to breathe. She was tall, slender, with smooth lavender skin that shimmered faintly in the soft light. Her hair, what looked like hair, flowed down like strands of silver thread. And her eyes, they weren't monstrous at all. They were large, deep, and full of something warm, something lost. She was unlike anything he had ever seen, but not in the way people feared. She was beautiful in a quiet, unreal way, like a dream standing in front of him. She seemed nervous too, her hands gently folding and unfolding. Her lips moved slightly. Unsure of how to start, he saw the faint glow of symbols across her neck, pulsing like soft tattoos. "I've never done this before," she said, almost like an apology. He smiled awkwardly and rubbed the back of his neck. "Me neither." He replied, "I mean, not with someone from out there." She laughed, a light, musical, and short, like she was surprised by herself. For a moment, the room didn't feel alien anymore. It just felt like two people meeting each other for the first time. Unsure but curious, she reached for a chair and sat, and he followed her lead. No one said what came next. There was no script anymore. Just silence between them, thick with questions and thoughts. Neither knew how to speak yet. After a pause, she asked, "Did they tell you anything about me?" "Only that you were noble-born," Aaron said honestly. "And that I wasn't allowed to see you until tonight?" She looked away at that, her eyes dimming slightly. "Noble-born," she repeated quietly. "That's one way to say it." He leaned forward slightly, catching the sadness in her tone. "You don't have to tell me anything now," he offered, "but if you want to, I'll listen." Her eyes returned to his, and for a long second, she just stared, as if trying to decide whether she could trust him or not. Then she said something unexpected. "My people offered me to your world because I was inconvenient." Aaron blinked, not sure what she meant. "Inconvenient?" he asked, carefully. She nodded slowly, the glow on her neck dimming. "I'm not what they wanted me to be," she said. "My body, my blood. It's different." Aaron didn't understand the full meaning of her words, but he could see the pain in her eyes, and that was enough for now. He took a slow breath and replied, "Well, I'm not exactly perfect either." She blinked, surprised by his calmness. Then she smiled, not wide, but soft and real. "You don't fear me?" she asked. He shook his head. "No," he said. "You've been kinder to me in 10 minutes than most people have in 10 years. Silence filled the room again, but this time it wasn't heavy, it was peaceful, like a beginning. She reached out hesitating, and then let her fingers brush his hand. He didn't pull away. Her skin was warm, not cold or slimy like the rumors claimed. Just warm, alive, and trembling slightly. They sat like that for a while, two strangers tied by a contract. Not lovers, not enemies, just trying to see what could grow from nothing. And in that small moment, Aaron thought maybe, just maybe, this wasn't a mistake. Maybe this was something the universe had planned all along. He didn't need to see her past, her bloodline, or her alien customs. All he needed was what he saw in front of him, a soul just as lost, just as hopeful as his own, and he had no regrets. He woke up in the middle of the night, not to a sound, but to a glow. Soft blue light shimmered across the walls, pulsing like a heartbeat. For a second, he thought he was dreaming. Then he turned his head and saw her standing near the window. She wasn't aware he was awake. Her back was to him. Her body wrapped in nothing but a thin robe, and that robe was glowing from the inside out. Or rather, she was glowing. Strange patterns moved across her skin. Like living tattoos, they shifted, slowly, like waves under moonlight, glowing and fading in a rhythm that matched her breath. Aaron didn't move, didn't say a word. He just stared, fascinated. As the symbols twisted and shimmered across her shoulders and spine, they weren't random, he could tell. They looked ancient, like a forgotten language written into her body. It was both beautiful and unsettling, and it made one thing clear: she was not like the other aliens he had seen on the station. Suddenly, her head turned slightly. "You're awake," she said, without turning fully. Aaron swallowed, his voice dry. "Yeah," he said quietly. "I saw the light." She turned slowly now, her face calm but unreadable. "I hoped it wouldn't happen so soon," she said, her eyes glowing a dim violet in the darkness. He sat up carefully, not wanting to startle her. "What is it?" he asked. "Those marks are they dangerous?" She stepped closer, the light dimming as she pulled her robe tighter around her. "They're part of what I am," she said, "and part of why my people wanted to get rid of me." Aaron frowned, confused. "I don't understand," he admitted. She sat down on the edge of the bed, close but not touching. "My mother was from the royal bloodline," she said slowly, "but my father, he was something else." The room went silent again. Only the quiet hum of the ship filled the air. Aaron didn't press her, he just waited, letting her find the words. Finally, she looked at him and spoke in a lower voice. "My father was a warrior caste mutant," she said. "His kind were born in darkness, bred for strength, not status. The union was forbidden. But my mother didn't care. She loved him. And then I was born a hybrid." Aaron listened carefully. She wasn't just an outcast because of politics. She was feared. Feared by both sides of her bloodline. Too noble to destroy, too dangerous to trust. So they gave her a marriage contract to a human stranger, he realized. Now what the contract really was. Not a gesture of peace, but a way to get rid of a problem. "They said the glow would frighten you," she continued, her voice soft. "That you would run like the others." Aaron looked down at his hands, then back at her. "You really thought I'd be afraid of glowing skin?" he asked gently. She gave a sad smile. "It's not just that," she said. "My kind. When threatened, we change, not like shape-shifting," she added quickly, "but something happens to our bones. Our senses, our minds." He stared at her, absorbing the words. "Is it painful?" he asked. She nodded. "Sometimes. Is it dangerous?" She hesitated. "Only if I'm pushed." For a long moment, Aaron was quiet. Then he leaned forward and said something that made her eyes widen. "Then I'll make sure no one ever pushes you again." It was a simple sentence, but it wrapped around her heart like a warm blanket. No one had said that to her before, not even her own parents. They had only warned her to stay hidden, stay quiet, stay useful. But this human, he had seen her secret, and he wasn't afraid. He was still here, still calm, still hers. She touched his hand. a blue glow flickering across her fingertips. "I didn't want you to find out this way," she whispered. "I'm glad I did," he replied without hesitation. "In this light, you're more real to me than ever." Outside their window, stars passed by in slow motion. Silent witnesses to something rare, something fragile, but strong. A bond not built on perfect appearances or promises, but on trust. In the face of the unknown, he didn't care what she was made of. He cared that she had stayed. When she had every reason to run, and she, for the first time, felt like maybe she wasn't cursed after all. Maybe she was just waiting for someone who wouldn't flinch when the truth came out. Aaron had seen beneath her skin, and instead of regret, he felt something else, a deeper curiosity, a stronger connection, and it terrified her. Because now she didn't want to lose him, not ever. He should have been asleep. But her silence kept him awake. She wasn't snoring, wasn't moving, wasn't even breathing loudly. Just lying there beside him, completely still. Too still for someone who said she wasn't afraid of him anymore. Aaron turned his head slightly, not wanting to startle her. Her eyes were open, staring up at the ceiling. Shining softly in the dark like twin moons, she noticed his gaze, but didn't blink. "I can't sleep," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Aaron didn't ask why, he just waited, knowing she'd speak if she wanted to. A few seconds passed before she added, "My body doesn't adjust well to new places." Aaron nodded slowly. "It's not the room, is it?" he asked. "It's D." She turned to him, guilt flashing across her face. "No," she said quickly. "It's not fear. It's unfamiliar comfort." He blinked. Confused, unfamiliar comfort. He echoed, "I'm used to sleeping alone," she said, "and now I feel safe, which is terrifying in its own way." He smiled gently at that. "That makes two of us," he admitted. "I've never shared a room with someone who glows." Her lips twitched, almost smiling, "And I've never shared a bed with someone who breathes so loudly," she replied. Aaron raised an eyebrow. "Are you teasing me?" She nodded. "Just once. I'm trying," she whispered. "Is that allowed between husband and wife?" He let out a soft chuckle. "Yeah, teasing is allowed," he said. Laughter too. The awkwardness between them began to dissolve. Not with grand words, but with tiny moments, half smiles, shy glances, and shared quiet. She sat up slowly and turned toward him, her knees drawn to her chest. "I was told never to bond," she said. "They warned me not to feel anything." "For you, who did?" Aaron asked, voice calm. "The ones who arranged this marriage," she replied. "They said it was a political trade, not a real union. But here you are," he said softly, "in my bed, staring at the ceiling." "Here I am," she agreed, breaking rules already. Aaron reached toward the small table beside the bed and picked up something. It was a small metal box, an earth-made music chip. He clicked it gently, and a soft melody filled the room. It wasn't alien, it wasn't ancient, just an old earth lullaby, slow and gentle like falling snow. She tilted her head, listening as if hearing music for the first time. "It's beautiful," she said. Eyes wide. "My mother used to play it for me," Aaron said, "before everything changed." Her voice dropped lower. "I never had music," she said. "My kind don't sing. Maybe it's time someone did," he replied, and to her surprise, he hummed along to the tune, quiet and slightly off-key. She didn't laugh, didn't mock, she just listened. Like it was the first honest sound she'd ever heard. Something in her shifted. She slid her feet down, sitting properly now, and leaned closer. Her claws twitched slightly, unsure of what to do. Then she did something small but huge for her. She reached out and rested her hand on his chest. Just above his heart, it beat steadily beneath her. Palm, strong and real. "This sound," she said, "it's louder than the music." "That's because of you," he said without thinking. She blinked slowly, unsure how to respond. Her hand didn't move away. They stayed like that for a while, breathing together, no words. Just the quiet hum of connection she had been. Trained to keep her emotions buried, to never touch. Never bond, never trust. But tonight, with this human whose heart beat like thunder under her hand, she didn't feel fear. She felt alive. "Do you want to sleep now?" he asked. "No." She whispered, "I want to remember this moment." "You think it won't last?" "I think I don't deserve it." Aaron turned to fully face her and held her hand gently. "You're my wife now," he said. "You deserve peace more than anyone I know." She closed her eyes slowly, not to sleep, but to hold back tears. The glow across her skin faded into stillness, not because of shame, but comfort. Aaron didn't let go of her hand, not once, and for the first time in her life, she slept while someone held on. The message was short and unsigned. It arrived on the inner wall of their room, glowing red text only she could read. Aaron was still asleep beside her when she noticed it. She stared at the message for a long time, not blinking, not breathing. 3 words pulsed in the alien language, like poison bleeding through silk. "Undo the bond." She touched the wall gently, and the message vanished. No sound, no alarm, no sender named, just a silent threat whispered in light. She turned her head slowly toward Aaron, his chest rising and falling peacefully. He had no idea what danger had just entered their world, and she didn't want to tell him not yet. Not until she understood how far it would go. By morning, she was quieter than usual. She still sat beside him during breakfast, still answered softly when he spoke. But something behind her eyes had changed. Aaron noticed, of course, but didn't push. He thought maybe she needed space. He didn't know someone out there was planning to rip them apart. The station's halls grew colder over the next few days. Not in temperature, but in feeling. Staff who used to smile at them now looked away. Doors that used to open automatically now clicked with delays. And one night, when Aaron passed a group of alien officials, they stopped talking the moment he walked by. He didn't understand their language. But he didn't need to. The silence said enough. Back in their room, she was pacing more often. She kept glancing at the walls, checking shadows, avoiding eye contact. Aaron finally asked, "What's going on?" She stopped mid-step, her hands trembling slightly. "I think they regret giving me to you," she whispered. Aaron frowned, confused. "Why now?" She hesitated, then said, "Because I'm not hiding anymore." He stood up and walked to her, placing his hands gently on her arms. "You're my wife," he said firmly. "You shouldn't have to hide anything." "I know," she replied. "But they don't want this union to become real. They want it to be symbolic. Nothing more." That night, a knock came at the door, soft, polite, but strange. When Aaron opened it, a tall alien woman stood there in a flawless red robe. Her smile was thin, almost human, but her eyes were colder than space. "I am the Harmony Liaison," she said, bowing slightly. "I've been sent to offer support to your union." Aaron looked at his wife, who stiffened the moment she saw the woman. She said nothing, but her claws twitched behind her back. The liaison stepped into the room like she owned it, her eyes scanning everything. "Such a cozy space," she said. "Fitting for a temporary arrangement." Aaron narrowed his eyes. "It's not temporary," he said plainly. The liaison turned to him and tilted her head. "We'll see," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'll be staying nearby, just in case anything goes wrong." After she left, his wife collapsed onto the bed, her body tense like a drawn bow. "She's not a helper," she said. "She's an enforcer." She was trained to break bonds before they grow strong. Aaron sat beside her and held her hand. "They're too late," he whispered. "We've already started growing." The next day, things got worse. The food replicators stopped working. The lights flickered more often, and the liaison began making random visits, each one colder than the last. She always smiled when she looked at Aaron, but when his wife was alone, she whispered things only she could hear, things that made her flinch, doubt, and shake when no one else was looking. Aaron started noticing bruises, not on her skin, but in her silence. She no longer teased him, no longer laughed at his earth jokes. She sat quietly, folding towels that didn't need folding, as if preparing for something she didn't want to face. That night, Aaron found her staring at the wall again. Another red message had appeared. The blood bond is forbidden. She didn't cry, not even when he held her, but her voice cracked when she whispered, "They'll take me away if I don't end this." Aaron's voice shook with fury. "Then they'll have to go through me." The next knock wouldn't be polite. The next step would not be peaceful. They weren't married for ceremony. They were bonded for real, for life, and someone was about to find out what that meant. Asterisk, the door shattered before the warning came. Aaron barely had time to move. A sharp blade swung through the air, aimed at her. He threw himself forward without thought. Pain exploded in his side as metal bit deep. His breath left him in a harsh gasp, but his hands were still strong enough to push the attacker back. She stood there, eyes wide, heart pounding in a way he'd never heard before, for the first time. He was not just her husband on paper, he was her shield. Her hidden power surged suddenly. The blue glow returned to her skin. Brighter, fierce. Symbols raced across her arms and chest like lightning. She muttered strange words in her ancient tongue. The air around them thickened and twisted. The attacker stumbled, eyes blinded by the light. She reached out, not with claws, but with energy. A force struck the intruder and sent them crashing across the room. Aaron groaned, but forced himself up. He looked at her differently now. No longer just an alien bride, but a warrior. A fierce protector who was willing to risk everything for him. She knelt beside him, her hands glowing softly as she pressed against his wound. He felt warmth spreading through his body, the pain dulling. Her voice was calm, almost tender. "Stay still," she whispered. "You will live." The room felt smaller, the danger closer, outside. Alarms blared and footsteps ran fast. They didn't have long. She looked at him with eyes full of fire. "They will come again," she said. "And next time, I won't hold back." Aaron squeezed her hand. "Then we will be ready," he said. Voice steady despite the blood on his shirt. She smiled, the glow fading to a soft pulse. "Together," she agreed. "No one will break us." The council called an emergency meeting. Whispers filled the halls about the hybrid threat. Some wanted her destroyed. Others wanted her silenced forever. But Aaron stood in front of them, refusing to back down. "My wife is not a weapon to be broken," he said. "She is my partner, my equal." The room fell silent, eyes burning into him. No one expected a human to fight so fiercely for an alien. But Aaron didn't care. He only knew the truth in his heart. She saved him not just from death, but from loneliness. And he would protect her at all costs. Their bond was no longer just words on paper. It was blood and fire, a promise written in scars and light, and whoever thought they could undo it would soon learn the price. Asterisk, the stars outside the window blurred into streaks of light. The ship was moving fast, escaping the station that wanted to tear them apart. She stood by the viewport, her claws clenched. Her glowing skin dim but steady. Aaron watched her from behind, feeling the weight of every moment between them. No words were needed. They had survived the impossible. Enemies, danger, secrets all faded into the past. What remained was real, stronger than anyone had dared to hope. She turned slowly, eyes shining with a mixture of fear and hope. "I thought you would regret this," she said softly. Voice trembling, Aaron stepped forward, closing the space between them. "How could I?" he asked. "I married you without seeing your face, without knowing your secrets." "But I saw your soul," he added. And it was enough. Her lips curved into a genuine smile. "The first one free of doubt. Do you think they will ever accept us?" she asked. He shook his head. "Maybe not, but I don't care," he said firmly, "because I have you." The silence stretched between them, filled with promises and dreams. She reached up and touched his cheek, her fingers warm against his skin. "If I could choose again," she whispered, "I would still choose you, and I," he said, "would do it 1,000 times over." Outside, the galaxy spun endlessly, vast and full of mystery. Inside their small room, two hearts beat as one. They had faced the impossible and won. Not because of power or politics, but because of trust, love, and courage. No matter what the future held, they had no regrets, only hope.